Okay, let's look at another side of the ledger. This is looking at trust. Now, I'm sure many of you are aware there is like a global pandemic, if you like, of collapsing trust. So Edelman's Trust Barometer, they do that every year, and it shows it going down and down year on year. And we see a collapse in trust in Australia, certainly for media, in fact, for all the institutions that we are used to that govern us. What we have here is data that we asked, select in order 3 experts that you trust the most. Apologies putting taxi drivers, politicians and doctors together. But yeah, there we go. But interestingly, what happens on the left-hand side, you can see the medical profession pretty much nailed the top end of trust. There's doctors and nurses at 64 and 51% most trusted. And simply put at the other end, least trusted, politicians anchor the basement there, 69%. Sorry, Mr. O'Day. So here's a question, then let's move forward into really the topic for tonight. How much do you agree or disagree that the current Australian political system is a broken system and isn't working? And this is asked of 1,071 people, for those who are interested, aged 14 to 64. So broadly speaking, it's a nationally representative sample, and we use research-only panels. There you go. So that's just a way of saying you can trust this data. Okay. Okay. So is the current system broken and not working? Okay. And the answer is 54% of Australians agree that the current political system is broken and isn't working. Okay. Which obviously is a majority, not a huge majority, but on our current system would get you comfortably elected. Okay, and the question they're going to ask is, okay, well, 54% of Australians think it's broken and it's not working. So what we then did to round it out is actually ask them about the concept of citizen juries. Now, I'm assuming that many of you tonight in the audience are familiar with the concept of citizen juries, but here it is. They've been proposed as an alternative or complementary system to the current political system in some countries. This is actually what we asked in the survey. And then citizen juries are ordinary people given the opportunity to make recommendations to the government on issues like health, education, transport, energy, wages, tax, welfare, on behalf of the rest of the population. And finally, 57% of Australians supported the concept of a citizen's jury. So, significant support, again a good majority, 57%, and that's definitely or probably. The summary here is very interesting. Most Australians think the current system is broken and is not working, and people trust politicians the least. And 71% of people want everyday people to play a bigger part in government decisions. 57% support citizen juries. But perhaps most importantly, support for citizen juries is almost as strong amongst those who believe the system is broken as those who currently think it's the best system there is. Or put another way, this is overwhelming evidence. Whether you love or loathe the current system, most people agree that a citizen's jury will make our democracy better.
I understand and I accept those statistics. I just wanted to just talk on 3 levels. One is to actually validate some of the statistics. Secondly, just to run through 10 points that I'd like to just put out there in terms of, well, how can we make the system a bit better? And they're 10 points that I gave to a conference, intergovernmental conference last year. And then one of those points is particularly relevant, I think, to tonight, which is about better public engagement. And on that last point, which I will just spend a little bit more time on, there's no doubt that new democracy is at the forefront and the vanguard in terms of trying to encourage healthy public participation. And can I just put on record my admiration and my tribute to the New Democracy Foundation and Luca and Ian and the board and everything that you do, because you guys are doing it for good reasons, and you believe in it. Doesn't necessarily mean that everything will always be perfect. The way you guys do things, though, is the way that we should be doing things in public life.
I think it's time that we should allow our politicians to be real. You know, you can't be real when you're being reported in the media as either a celebrity or a warrior. And you know, that's a whole other conversation, and I think that that's something that we should allow these good people to actually be the true representatives of democracy. Anyway.
We do appreciate people contributing their time, and also you for coming out and creating such a good conversation. Yes, as Kathy attested, we have an interesting offer out there for governments, any parliament who wants to have a conversation of how to do democracy better. Yes, there's a standing offer of a donation of $5 million to fund a community process to explore that and to inform the parliament and let the parliament respond to it. And that sentiment I'd really like to leave you with is, You know, a lot of things get landed with our MPs, with our parties, and they come from kind of predictable sources where you think, well, you would say that, wouldn't you? We kind of know what the BCA will say, and we know what ACOS will say, and you can go through each of the lobby groups like that. And if a group of citizens came up and said, wow, we've heard some of the ideas, Jonathan's just touched on multi-member electorates. Well, we know, Luca, and our views on the role of random selection. Let's let people explore that and see what can be trialled to do democracy better. What we were appreciative of is more and more mayors, ministers, MPs are coming out and saying, actually, we are interested, we want to have that conversation. So we'll pick this conversation up again in a couple of months. Please stay for a drink or two. And once again, thank you and good night.